Hello and welcome to another episode of the SEO Unplugged podcast. I'm your host, Itamar Blauer. Today, I'm joined with Clara Soteras, who's a very experienced SEO, especially when it comes to news SEO and working with publishers. So great to have you on, Clara. How are you?
Thank you very much, Itamar. I'm well. Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here and to talk a little bit about, Discover Publishers with you and all the audience.
Amazing. Awesome. So, and to get started, I think, at least from my perspective, having spoken to and met loads of SEOs over the years, the majority of people I speak to, they wouldn't say that Google Discover is something that they necessarily focus on, or it's never really seemed to be a big part of their day-to-day work. So if, as just an intro, are you able to sort of describe the key aspects of what makes Google Discover very particular or maybe different from traditional SEO for the average website that people are used to?
People think that it's difficult to use and to rank on Google Discover if you are not a publisher, but it's not real because, now we can see that Discover feed is changing a lot, and we can find there some posts about, from Twitter, from YouTube, for example, and content creators has an option to be there too. So, I work with different companies, focus on the strategy on the content on his blog, for example. And it's something that if you work really well on the best factors of ranking to promote content in Google Discover, you can appear there. And this is your question, no? This is not it's kind of black box, the Google Discover, but we are understanding more and more how it works, this feed. And something that is changing and it's really important in Discover feed. If I need to mark and to explain three different things, for example, for me is headlines. You need to work with some clickbait headlines, but not clickbait, bad clickbait. No, you need to work with a curiosity gap in the headline and with entities. We don't use keywords, exact keywords in the headline, and we need to create this curiosity gap. Something that for me it's really important because that it's the images, no, the images that we can see on the feed are really huge, and this is some part of the content that we need to take into account because sometimes journalists or other creators or writers, it's the last thing that we add to the post, for example, and we only need one image to publish, no, and we go to a bank of images and take the first that we found, and this is not the best option, no, probably because we need to think in the image and with the headline that we chose, and we need to create this curiosity gap because if we show in the image something that we are trying to hit to hit and in the headline, it's something that it doesn't work, no. And something that the last thing that I want to share here in this first question is the location. I think that it's really important to understand your audience, where your audience are, because you work with location, no, you need to mention different cities and different regions on the headline, and you need to promote content for your audience. And for example, if you need to impact and catch the attention of people who are in United Kingdom, no, and it's based, for example, in London because your company works there, you need to promote and relate content with this city. For example, if you have an event on a huge event, no, in the city, like a marathon or like something related with the trends of the day, you need to catch the trend and work with this type of content and trying to catch the trend with your entities and trying to mention the location.
Okay, brilliant. So I think, yeah, that's a really nice sort of like introductory key tips. I do wonder, are there any particular things on the technical side of when you're creating the content that you need to focus on? So you mentioned, for example, the image is a big thing, but it's like, okay, well, people can just publish a featured image on a blog. Is that automatically going to put them in the best place to be found in Google Discover? Or are there any sort of
Mhm.
technical SEO or certain types of technical things you need to do to give yourself the best chance to appear in Discover?
Yes, there are something technical that we need to take into account, and well, it's similar to the content to run content on traditional search too, no? But obviously, we need to work with the best core web vitals that we can achieve. And for me, it's really important the technical part for the images because Google recommends 1,200 pixels for the width minimum. So for this reason, we need to create and work with images with a high quality, but with work best best core web vital. So we need to take this into account. And for example, something that it works is that you use the format for the images JPG. And for example, I don't like to use PNG because, well, I tried different tests and I test different content with PNG, with WebP too. And I don't like too much to use this type of format because for me, have better performance the content that uses JPG.
Hmm. Okay, perfect. So using JPEGs over things like PNG, WebP, you found to be better. And what about then with the actual content or the structure of content? Do you find that there's any things that work really well in Discover over traditional types of blog posts that you'd put out anyway? So, say, for example, like, is the actual length of text important nowadays when it comes to ranking on Google Discover? If you assume that obviously a very long post it's going to require lots of scrolling, like what's the sort of signals from the like quantity of content that you found, if there's any type of correlation that you've seen?
Mhm. For me, the content is really useful if you works with a quality of content. So, I think that we need to create long articles, but not the really long articles. So, the short articles don't have a huge performance there, no, and we need to create different content and structure the content with different headlines, with different H2, for example, no, to work with these different entities that we will use in the text. So for this reason, I think that we don't need to create long stories, but that stories needs to be really useful. For example, as explainers that we can find in a publisher. For example, for the last method to do something, or the last policy that some government applies, no, and or the the launch of the product from Apple, for example, and we need to create different content that was really useful for the user.
Hmm. Okay, cool. So it's like, so there's not a particular type of quantity per se. If you're like, oh, you need to write X amount of words is usually ideal. It's more about the sort of quality, getting to the point, and also the entities bit that you mentioned to like
Y-
factor them in because they're going to be quite impactful
Yeah.
for at least the relevance, right?
Mhm. To add something here is that for me it's more important to work with um, repeating entities during the week, for example, no, that create that you understand your core product, your entities, and you need to choose because you can talk and you can write about everything. So you need to understand which entities performs better on your site and you need to choose. And after that, you need to create a content strategy focused on these entities or these categories because you can work with different category with different entities with different categories that you have in the website. And obviously, you need to create some volume. You can work with only one article per day, for example, and discover needs repeating entities and repeating the articles. You needs to push every URL that you have on your website, and it will be really useful to have more than one URL focused on one entity. And something that I really like if you have more than one author on the website is to analyze the performance between entities and authors. And if, for example, you work in on a niche site focus on fashion, for example, you know that you have some authors that performs better on fragrances and other that performs better on the latest trends about the brands, no, about Dior or about um, Lancome, no, another things, no, another brands, and you can work really well if you analyze author by author.
Hmm. Yeah, that's some really good tips there, actually. Yeah, so like analyzing the performance relative to different authors, because many sites will have like different authors on their team, and I think it's a great way to at least understand what type of perceived authority or expertise is linked to particular authors for particular topics and entities. So I think that's really great. Something that I wanted to touch upon as well is I'm pretty sure this is the first time we've had this, but in February of 2026, the Discover Core update was launched, and different parts within that I think were quite interesting because there were essentially three bullet points that were discussed there, and one of them was about localized content, so from websites based in the country that the user lives in. That was one. The second one was about reducing clickbait, essentially. So reducing clickbait in Discover, that was an interesting point, and I'd be keen to get your thoughts on these as well. And the third one was about in-depth type of original content from websites that have strong perceived expertise from that site's content. So I guess that maybe links to the entities part that you spoke about of, I guess, being able to demonstrate that your website and you can't write about everything, but if you consistently write about particular types of themes, topics, entities, then I suppose that is a good way for Google to understand your relevance there. But the second point is, I think, the most interesting one because how do you reduce clickbait on Discover, or how would Google find ways to? Is it to do with like analyzing the thumbnails and the headlines versus the main copy of the text, or what's your sort of take in general on this core update and
Mhm.
what it means?
Well, as you said, Itamar, it's the first time that we had that we have um, an update focused on Google Discover, only on Google Discover, and it's strange. And we are analyzing the results of these algorithm changes, because it was only applied in United States for now, and we are seeing if they will launch around the world too this rollout. And well, something that is critical here is the clickbait. I think that it's really difficult to solve this, because it's the probably it's the core of the product of Discover. No, it's not the clickbait. For me, it's curiosity gap. No, something that I mentioned before. And I think that um Discover can exist without this, no. And this is the main reason for the existence of Discover. It's like a social feed. It's something that we don't search. We are not proactive in the search, searching a keyword. We are reactive, no, because we receive the information based of our interest, our previous searches. So here I think that it's we have a problem, obviously. And but it will be difficult. We know that some publishers and some blogs, for example, receive penalties and manual actions about content policies. And they need to solve this. And these penalties were focused on the content and this type of headlines. But I think that it's the main reason of the existence of Discover. We need to know how it will be change our feed. And I think that it's really interesting, the local part and the local bullet point that they add to the information and documentation, because well, for example, we saw Indian times in every feed in every part of the world. And this is changing, obviously. And I think that we need to understand that here local public publishers and local companies have an opportunity here, because something that I'm seeing is that we have more local publishers on the feed. But at the same time, I analyze with a tool the visibility of different domains on Discover. And well, the visibility of YouTube and Twitter is growing exponentially. So for this reason, if we have more actors and more opportunities for these other type of actors, content creators, YouTube, Twitter, we don't have the opportunity to catch the click here for the websites. So here it's another problem that we need to understand how we need to manage. But for example, something that I am trying to work with my clients is to start working on brand visibility, because it's something that can add you more value. And you can appear with your YouTube channel, for example, and impact to your user, to your audience, but not searching the click. No, you need to change a little bit the KPIs on the search traditionally with AI overviews, obviously. And in Discover, we need to change our mindset there too. And we need to use Discover Feed as a social feed, because it's something that creates engagement, creates community, and you can work with this other type of strategy.
Hmm. Yeah, that's brilliant. And I think that the opportunity there, something you mentioned, really makes the argument that counters people who are saying that with Gemini and AI usage across traditional search, that these platforms, these big tech platforms, are just taking everyone's content, stealing it, regurgitating it, and the clicks aren't being given to the publishers. And I think what we're seeing here is that, well, Google Discover is, from this update, specifically around sort of providing localized content to the right users in the right countries and regions, is actually showing that there is still opportunities even for small publishers or new entrants to be able to get that visibility if they're, following these sorts of guidelines, or at least creating quality content that is relevant geographically but also contextually from content that might be relevant for those audiences. And I guess with that, something I want to sort of end with is maybe predictions and thoughts that you have around Discover for the future. So obviously we've had the Discover Core update in February 2026. What do you see is the future of Discover, particularly maybe with the points of how AI plays into things, or if you think it's going to be a big disruptor or not for Discover?
Well, this is not an easy question, but yes, I think that AI will be on Discover too. Well, we are seeing some tests because we are seeing that AI overviews. Well, the Google is showing different opportunities to click to the AI mode in Google Discover feed. So for this reason, you are navigating in this scrolling in the feed, and if you click on this button, you go to the AI mode, and you lose the opportunity to have the user on the Discover because you change your app, no? And well, something that I want to mention here is that I think that AI will change obviously traditional search, but Discover too. And we need to understand how to approach to this new ecosystem, to this new landscape, because we need to create different strategies focused on entities, and obviously work, for example, something that I am trying to work with my clients that are not publishers, for example, is to think as a publisher, because here we have an opportunity. Sometimes we don't have too many journalists or too many writers to create content, but we need to choose our efforts and our opportunities. For example, if something that I mentioned or tried to explain before is that if you, for example, we had a huge event like St. Patrick's Day, for example, no, and you work in the country, and you want to catch the attention for this day to your audience, but it's not related with this, no? You need to understand that this is in your calendar, although it's not your entity, but it's in your calendar, and you need to create content uh, w- introducing and using this type of trend for this day related with your core product. Here we have an opportunity, and we will see some changes, but obviously here we have an opportunity to create content and connect with community. For me, it's more than searching clicks now, and we need to understand, and it's something that I explain and I repeat and repeat with my publishers and my clients, that the volume that we have 2 years ago on Discover will never return. And obviously, here we need to change the mindset and the way that we work with advertisements, for example, and with the partners. And here we have the opportunity to create a strong brand, and working with PR, something that I am starting to work to, and with content creators. Um, it's something that I am exploring, and I think that publishers needs to work differently, and they need to attract different content creators that can expose better your brand and your content. And you have an opportunity with these content creators, that because the personal brand sells better than publisher brand. And it's something that we are seeing with newsletter, for example. The last week I was at ONA in Chicago in the Online News Association conference, and was really focused on content creators and the things that they can achieve uh, outside the publishers is incredible, no? And they work alone and they work with their personal brand only.
Amazing. So yeah, it seems then like I guess similar to what people were saying about traditional SEO, especially when it comes to AI, is saying that, well, traffic is going to go down, but it's something that you shouldn't start you know, crying about. There's still opportunities there, and it's more maybe the mindset shift towards things like building a brand, and as you mentioned with PR and how you can sort of utilize these channels. And from a discover perspective, is sort of making sure that you continue to do the right things to then at least give yourself more awareness and a bigger brand presence, because ultimately that's the best thing that you can do when it comes to the type of channel that discover is it's more like you say reactive, where people come across brands, titles, headlines, publications that maybe they've not seen before or heard before. So it's a good potential brand strategy, or at least hopefully an acquisition strategy as well within that. So, but obviously, Clara, when if people want to uh, get some help with this or reach out to you if they've got any questions, because of course you're very experienced within sort of like news SEO and work with publishers and things like that. How can people get in touch and reach out to you if they want to ask any questions
Mhm.
about this?
Well, they can write an email to me, hello at clarasoteras.com, or contact me through LinkedIn or Twitter, or my website, clarasoteras.com.
Amazing. Awesome. Clara, thank you so much for your time today. It was really fascinating to sort of deep dive into Discover with all the changes that's been happening. Really appreciate you being here as well. And as always, for those listening and watching wherever you are in the world. And as always, we will see you in the next episode.